DK. Go, Cat. Presented by Bones Brothers Media.
Clap it up. Clap it up for the kids. A huge weekend this past weekend for the Bones DK golf banner at the Genesis Scottish Open. Huge shout out to Evan from Upper St. Clair flying the DK banner, turning $8 into 100. Huge shout out to Covey's boy Rich flying the DK banner, turning 55 into $2,500. Shout out to the Bones Brothers, the namesakes of the program, turning 150 into 5,000 big ones and saving the best for last. Iceman goes by the name Chris to those closest to him. A one-time resident, actually, of the dark and dirty streets of Morgantown's historic South Park neighborhood. Flying the DK banner loud and proud, $25 into $200,000. Let's go, boys. Couple weeks ago, as executive producer and host of this show, I thought about bagging the Core 4. I didn't think it was working, at least to my expectation. But Bones DK was adamant, kept telling me, stick with it, stay the course. We need a couple bounces this week. We're close. And it paid off. Welcome into the program. My name is Edge. Bones DK, starting with you, must feel good. Tell me about it.
I was walking around with the strut on Sunday. It felt amazing. And I just got to say, Iceman, I mean, let's not take away what's happening to him. We had a nice little cash, right? Expected with the core four, right? Keep riding it. But Iceman, that was the most, that's the dream, right? That is the dream of what all of us do is putting in that $25 lineup and winning the 200,000. That's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, our boy Michael McNeil came in third. A couple years ago in the 25 for 250,000 million to first. But Iceman, he is a true grinder. Doesn't invest a lot into the sport, right? He's a player, but turning 25 into 200K is one of the greatest things I've ever heard. Congratulations! I'm so happy to have his the logo he had on his username. Incredible, man. I'm just so proud of him. Congratulations, Iceman.
Iceman, also a mountaineer. We love those guys here. The core four was Tom Kim, who won. Fitzmagic, who finished third. Got her up, who faded on us on Sunday, finishes 11th. Wyndham Clark. We're going to talk about him later. Finishes 13th. Wildman, welcome to the program. You had a great call on Callum Hill. Finished 44th, but a great price last week at 6,500 to get you that 6 for 6 through. First of all, tell me your thoughts about the weekend. How did you feel about bagging 5K and then hearing about Iceman winning his life-changing amount?
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, any cash is a good cash in this profession, if you will. So yeah, it felt great to get back in the winner's circle, to win a bracelet, for 5K and see the first place next to your name. But 28,000 runners versus Chris, the Iceman. And I was live texting with him pretty much from 10 a.m. to the final whistle there with McIntyre in 18. We both agreed cocktails at noon, high noon. So I don't know how his hangover was on Monday, but I didn't hear from him until about 10:30, 11 o'clock on Monday morning. But yeah, man, life-changing cash there. Really special. Awesome that he has the logo and and look, guys, I mean, we've been saying it for weeks, whether it was Zach, whether it was Covey, whether it was us, whether it was him, our group is it's shark infested waters when you play with us. And so you just got to keep staying the course. We're going to be right back at it this week. So excited for it.
We'll get into the Open here in just 1 second, but Wildman, clarify for the listeners a little bit too. We did go through a bunch of guys there that won this week. They all won various amounts. What was the difference? We know that Iceman did have Kiefer in there, which was a big call on his own there. You guys only went in 5,000. So, what is your strategy here? Why is he winning 200,000? Why are you only winning 5,000? And we're saying kind of playing the same lineups pretty much. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, contest selection is a huge thing, right? And so, like, the way Rob and I usually build our lineups is in the single entry contests. where you don't have to differentiate as much. You don't have to get as risky. Like that core four last week was 3 guys in the 9K range. Those aren't smoldering hot takes, right? But it's like, okay, we feel confident enough we can fill that in and win some money with a lineup that scored, 80 or 90 less than Iceman's lineup, where he's in a larger field of 28,000 people. Our field was 150 runners. But that's the whole dynamic of DFS, right? You put in a little bit more money, you get a little bit shorter fields. You put in a little less money, you get a little bit bigger fields. So you got to take more risks. He had Keeper in there. He had Robert McIntyre, where we had Goddard, so that was a big pivot there. And look, I mean, like you mentioned Callum Hill a moment ago. Rob, did we have him solo owned? I mean, I think we were the only team that had him. Now, he only finished in 44th place, but he made 5 birdies on Sunday. And so, when you're looking at DFS scoring, not just contest selection, a guy that's making, 10 pars is worse than a guy that's making 5 birdies and 5 bogeys. So we want birdies and, and all of those things add up to good scores. And so like we ended up in a huge spot in that Callum Hill spot where all of our competitors had this Finnish guy named Oliver Lindell. And despite finishing below Lindell in the tournament, Hill outscored him. So yeah, contest selection and just kind of, sort of moving your budget around with how you should best play the budget you have.
We mentioned Harman last week also. He finished in a tie for 36. And we mentioned Terrell Hatton as well. Finished in 17th. My boy A. Fitz did not make the cut this week. 2 guys that will be playing in the Open Championship, we just mentioned, Hatton and Harman. It's this weekend at the iconic Royal Birkdale Golf Club. Pretty average length, about 7,200 yards, par 70. Don't know how much you boys have been reading about it, but they're calling the weather conditions in a roundabout way unprecedented here. This course is dry. It's hard. It's very fast. Saw a comment from John Rahm that he wouldn't be surprised to see guys hitting 6 irons 280 yards if the wind is at his back. So narrow fairways here. And the rough can come into play, obviously, the tall fescue. But the course being dry here, are guys going to be able to hit their way out of some of that fescue? Because this ball is going to roll forever. It's going to bounce and bounce and roll forever. We need the bombers in this one here, right, Bones DK?
I mean, let's give Wildman more of the course breakdown. That's what his thing is. But yeah, I mean, we're looking at long irons as well, like 275 plus. Long irons is going to be really important here and around the green as well. But that's more of Wildman's take here. Let's hear what he has to say.
Well, Wildman, let me also just clarify too. The reason I'm thinking bombers here is if I'm 60 to 80 yards out from a green as a pro golfer on my first shot, it doesn't really matter if I'm in a foot of fescue or if I'm sitting pretty on the green. I'm probably going to be able to put it pretty close to the hole. So are the bombers something you're looking for here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like if you're hitting a 6 iron 280, you're going to be hitting a driver 450, and like you're just not going to get. Now, remember, like these aren't carry numbers. So it's going to be like Marble Madness out there. You're going to be hitting low stingers that just roll and roll and roll. And although the link style golf course is pretty flat, so to speak, you're going to have tons of undulation and pot bunkers and not going to really be able to control what your ball's doing for half of the time it's off your club. It's rolling in, catching weird bounces and out of divots and into pot bunkers and things like that. So I'm looking at, really nothing much off the tee. I'm looking at more like precise iron play and really good bunker play. And look, I'm just going to tend to favor the Euros here. I mean, these conditions, you're talking about unprecedented, like it's unprecedented for Americans for sure, right? To play in conditions this dry and with fescue up to your waist and pot bunkers 6-7 feet tall. So I'm kind of looking now. An Englishman hasn't won this since 1992, since Faldo won the Open. I think maybe this is the year.
Let's look at that first tier, Bones DK. The top 6 are some heavy hitters, no pun intended. Scotty Scheffler at 13.8, McIlroy at 11.9, Fleetwood, give me a break at 10.5, Fitzmagic at 10, Xander at 9.8, John Rahm at 9.7. Something just in my gut No data to back it up. Just tells me something special is going to happen with Rom this weekend, though. Where are we taking the core four to start out of this first tier, Bones?
Rom is definitely an interesting play this week. He has good history here. A lot, good corollary courses, the 2022, 2023 Open when Harman won it, and Rom had a pretty good finish there. And, I like his price, but there's just so much value around here that I'm not really going to find Rom in my lineup. I think this is a week that I'm actually going to maybe pay up for either Scotty and Rory, and it's going to be Rory McIlroy at 11-9. I'm just building lineups, and I can find myself easily fitting them in, especially with these prices. What you have to remember is the pricing was out before the result of this past tournament of the Scottish Open. So Tom Kim is all the way down at $6,800. Wyndham Clark is 8,200. Goddard is 8,500. All three of those guys would probably be priced higher if this was after the result of the tournament last week. So there's a ton of value. And I'm going to tell you this, Edge, it's hard for me not to play the same exact core four this week. Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark, Goddard, and Tom Kim. I don't want to just make the core four that. I'm going to have takes on other guys. But if you want to run those guys back again this week, it's really easy. And you can even fit Rory into that lineup as well with Fitzpatrick and all those four guys.
Is Rory our first core four guy?
Again, it's hard for me to. I don't want to say I didn't pick a core four this week, but I want to run the same exact core four, but also break down other guys that are honorable mentions for the core four. Rory is really tough for me not to play this week. He had one bad round. It was a 73 in the third round last week. I don't know what happened. It was like the fog was going on. He kind of had a delay and everything. He started off +3 through 8, and then next day he was like -4 through 7. At this price and with what we have with the guys below, it's kind of a weird pricing week. I would say yes, start with Rory this week. Yes.
Tommy Fleetwood at 10,500. Wyndham Clark is at 82. Those two should be reversed. It should be Wyndham at 10.5, Fleetwood at 8.2. Do you agree, Wildman?
I don't know about reversed. Look, Fleetwood's still, a top tier player in the world. And, he grew up here in Southport, England, literally like on the 14th fairway in a shack. So if there's ever a time for Fleetwood to come through, it's right now. Look, Clark has the 2 wins at the U.S. Open. Fleetwood has a top 5 in every single major and a top 3 in 3 of the 4. So, he's been around the winner's circle. It's really a curious case that he just can't really win the big one. He only has 1 win in America, and it was a 30-man field at the FedEx Cup.
Should he be the third seeded golfer this week at 10,500 just because he's playing in his backyard?
Well, I don't know how the algo works either, but like Rob said, the pricing was out a week or two ago for this tournament, so maybe that would adjust a little bit. But look, he's a top-tier player, man. He's coming in like he doesn't have the win. If you look at his last 6 weeks, they're a slew of top-tier finishes. So can he do it? Probably not. But could he be there on Sunday? Sure. Yeah, I think so.
All right, so Bones DK likes Rory at 11.9, but he also mentioned he liked his core four last week, which included Matt Fitzpatrick at 10,000. There is a lot of value in this tournament, as you mentioned here, Bones. As we get into the $9,000 tier, you got Oberg at 9.3, Rose at 9.1, Young at 9,000. Not really impressed by any of those 3 guys with their salaries, the pricing being what they are. Hatton is interesting at 8.9. I feel like his salary is starting to catch up with him a little bit around the majors. Morikawa, up and down this year at 8.7. And then our boy Goddard, who again at 8.5. I think you're right. It's hard to pass up on this guy. Your thoughts?
Goddard was third last year in the Open as well. So again, just a weird pricing. The only thing I'm worried about is the core four is that it was pretty chalky. All 4 guys were over 20% owned, and they're going to be high owned again. This is a weird tournament. However, the last 5 winners here at the Open have. Let me see this. Each of the past 5 Open champions played the previous week at the Scottish Open. So why not go back to the guys that all top 15 last week? It's a really tough spot for me because they're going to be high owned. But we're going to find our leverage down low. Again, just like we did last week, just because our core four was high owned, we had Harman at 3% and Hill at 9%. So that's our leverage right there. You don't need to avoid everybody that's going to be high owned. But I will give a fair warning that those guys are going to be high owned. Besides our core four that I like, Justin Rose, 9,100. I think his price is too high this week. $9,100 is a lot for Justin Rose. However, this part of his career, this dude loves majors and only cares about majors. Wouldn't be surprised to see Justin Rose come in sub 10% and also be great leverage off all those guys that we're talking about here. Another guy I like is Cameron Young. Had a good finish here, and he's plays majors like a beast. I mean, tons of runners up, only $9,000 to see like O'Bear, even Xander, Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, the fact that Tommy Fleetwood is overpriced of Matt Fitzpatrick is crazy this year. I agree with you there, Edge. I know Wild Man likes him a lot, but you got to fire up Fitzpatrick at 10K. So the other guys besides the core four are Justin Rose and Cameron Young. I like in that range.
Anybody you want to comment there on Wildman? Morikawa again up and down a little bit. What about our boy Hatton? I mean, Hatton didn't play badly last week. He finished tied for 17th. I mean, is this his? Has he got a top 5 in him? Does he have a win in him?
He believe it or not has like a terrible history at the Open. I think he's 6 for 11 maybe at the Open. So not something that I'm seeing a lot of potential out of him, so to speak. And you just have the live tour like Black Cloud and some of these majors. Like I don't know. So I'm gonna say no on that. I'm gonna also say no on Morikawa. I just don't think he's got the putter per se to maybe win when the conditions are going to be this fast and this tight. I would say Victor Hovland is probably the guy down there if you want to pivot. Like if you're telling me you're and I like Goddard, don't get me wrong. If I'm Goddard at 30% and Hovland at 11%, or something like that, like all day long, right? All day long.
The 85 to 70 region here is, I feel like, where you might get a winner in this tournament. You've got Bryson DeChambeau, who's been stinking up the joint. Hovland, though, who's running pretty hot. Wyndham Clark, who's on fire. I don't know how you cannot play Wyndham Clark this week at 8,200. Bob McIntyre played great last week. Had a little bit of last few holes he had weren't great, but otherwise he played fantastically. Shane Lousy, I don't know about him. But Burns, Henley, Thomas, you go down a little further, Fitz, Neiman, Spieth, Cantlay, Reed at 7,000. That's a road warrior right there, even though he's probably, Hall of Famer at some point in his career. But Reed at 7,000. I mean, where's the value here, Bones? There seems to be a lot of it.
Well, I'll just say this. I'll just solidify the core four. I'm going to keep the same core four. I don't see why you don't play Goddard up at that price. I don't see why you don't play Kim at 6,800. I don't see why you don't play Clark, especially because the pricing was out before the results. And that also correlates with Bobby McIntyre. I mean, only $8,000. He almost won the damn tournament. You know what I'm talking about? And this is a perfect setup for him. So, again, Bobby Mack at $8,000. The only thing I'm concerned about, guys, is their ownerships. I think they're high owned last week and they did well, and they're probably going to be high owned again. So you do have to find leverage there. And if I'm going to try to find leverage in that range off of Bobby Mack, to me, it's Russell Henley. I mean, we love this guy. He has a 10th and a 5th in his last 2 opens. He's coming off an 11th place as well. He didn't play last week. I think that's going to, no one's going to play him because of that reason alone. He's kind of like quietly playing good this year, but don't be surprised if you see Russell Henley in the top 10. And I'm telling you right now, $7,700, if you guys come in the top 10, you're going to be getting paid off.
Where do you anticipate his ownership being, Henley's?
Sub 10% as well, under 10%. I believe so. Dude, so many people are going to be going to Bobby McIntyre. I mean, I'm already getting lineups sent to me from friends. They're all kind of gravitating towards the same guys we're talking about, rightfully so. But I just see Henley and possibly Burns being overlooked a little bit, but Henley's my favorite spot in that top 7K range.
If you do look, Wild Man, at those names we just said, Hovland, Clark, you'd expect Clark's ownership to probably be pretty high this week. But if you look at Hovland, if you look at Burns, if you look at Koepka, maybe even throw Thomas in there, who do you think will be the best golfer out of those 4 that is going to be the least owned?
Yeah, I don't love this range, to be honest with you. None of these guys sort of give me the giddy up I want. I'd probably say Lowry, right? And by the way, DraftKings DFS was just banned in the UK recently.
Why is that?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, obviously, just some sort of lawmaking, tax
Blunder, some type of
yeah,
law-making
some sort of
blunder.
nonsense.
Yes.
But so you're going to get a lot of Americans playing in these contests, and those Americans tend to play American golfers, right? Like because it's the guys it's the guys you get to see. Now Lowry's a PGA Tour player. He's been so bad this year down the stretch, whether it's Friday to make the cut or Sunday to close a deal. That is leverage city right there. I'm not saying I like him, but he's an open champion. So he's raised the jug before. Maybe he finds something special and can get around this link style stuff. Like he maybe grew up playing these types of courses 20 years ago, right? So
does Patrick Reed or Patrick Cantlay do anything for you at 7,000? And where do you expect Reed's ownership to be?
I actually like Cantlay a lot this week. 7,000, even the last major, he was priced at like 72, $7,300. I think he's a much better player than 7K. I mean, come on. I know Aaron Rye just won a major. That was kind of a fluke. Jordan Spieth, Neiman. I mean, Patrick Cantlay is a golfer in the PGA Tour. I mean, you got to love him. I think this is a very sneaky spot for your boy Edge. A. Fitzpatrick, coming off that missed cut. I mean, he was 27% owned last week in our contest and let everybody down. But you look back at the Harmon season, which was a corollary course to this major, he finished 17th or in the top 20. So that was before he was even going on this run right now. So Alex Fitzpatrick, pairing him up with his brother this week is probably a great move.
Dropping below 7,000, Wild Man. We got Tom Kim at 68. What a steal. If you are playing Tom Kim this week, also be careful because it goes some other guy named Kim, some other guy named Lee, and then we have our boy Tom Kim. They all look the same. They're wearing the same color hat, and they almost have the exact same name. So make sure you're punching Tom Kim in there at 6,800 if you're playing him this week. Cam Smith, 6,800, who we liked a lot going into the last major, but let us down. The old gum chewer, $6,700. Brian Harmon, $6,700. Is Kurt Kitayama a sneaky play this week at 6,500? And play at your own risk. Raytan, my boy, the wave is crested. Adam Scott, both at 6,500. Anybody there, Wild Man, that you see value in?
It is kind of funny how they're all wearing their President's Cup uniforms in these photos. That's strange. I wonder why that is. I want to get to the 6K range right after I mentioned Patrick Reed real quick. Okay.
Sure.
We just kind of glazed right over him. Look, I watched every shot that he hit at the US Open. We had a big stack on him. He really melted down there in like the final 4 holes on Friday. He missed a 5-footer. He 3-putted from 8 feet. Couldn't get up and down on 18 to make the cut. To miss on the number. Sandwiched in between that is a 10th, a 7th, and a 12th at the Scottish, the PGA, and the Masters. So he's number 1 in the race to Dubai. He's the number 1 European Tour player in the world right now. 10th, 12th last week. Fire up Patrick Reed. I mean, come on, guys. This guy could win the tournament. Doesn't have great open history, but he's a winnable player. And then I'm going to go right down to Cameron Smith. Feel kind of the same way with him. If he can kind of avoid those wayward drives, which usually gets him in trouble, elite short game. The greens are going to be lightning. You're going to need elite short game here. So I like Cameron Smith.
I don't know how, I don't want to put you on the spot. And I don't know how much you follow him, but Kitayama's results have to be fantastic over the last month or two. Does that guy do anything for you at all, Wildman?
I mean, look, it's a major, right? So like the PGA Tour is different than the majors.
Kitayama played pretty good last week, though, too. He did play pretty good last week.
True. It's just kind of one of those things, like when the lights are shining bright, you can count on one hand how many guys have won as like debutants or guys that have never had top 10s or top 5s. I mean, typically speaking, and we're talking more like winners here, but there's rarely a major winner who wins a major having not had a top 5 or several top 5s at majors previously. Not really one of those things you drink out of the jug the first time you taste it,
Did that happen to Aaron Rye earlier this year at the PGA, though? Or had he won on tour prior to that?
Yeah, he had a win or 2 on the PGA Tour, but like that was a total anomaly what he did at the PGA Championship. So again, I said you could count on one or 2 hands, but it's rare.
Before we get to the Rogue Warrior, Bones DK, anybody else you want to talk about? Again, some interesting, even lower down there. Jason Day, 64, Sung J M at 62, and then Iceman's boy Kiefer tied for third last week. $6,000. I mean, why not run him back, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like kind of like the way the PGA Tour has been running this year. People get hot and they continue it into the next week. So that's kind of why I like Tom Kim again. And yeah, fire up Kiefer. I mean, why not? I didn't like him last week, but he obviously did well, and wouldn't surprise me again if he did well again. I mean, the Scottish Open is very similar to this tournament. So guys that played last week and did well last week are probably going to do well. Yeah, I just think it's funny. All right, last week we played Harman and Tom Kim in our big lineup in our corollary course of the 2022-2023 Open. Brian Harman won it, and Tom Kim came in second. So I'm telling you guys, just fire these guys back up. Cameron Young came in eighth, Tommy Fleetwood in 10th. So I don't want to take away Wildman's Rogue Warrior, but I will say this. If you're torn on the final spot and you're on Tom Kim, Kim is going to be over 20% owned, 100%. And Brian Harman will do exactly what he did last week. It'd be about 3 to 4%. And quite frankly, he paid off, right? He was on winning lineups, and I don't think anyone's going to play him still. So I really, really like Brian Harman this week to double him up. So, and to back what I said earlier, Fitzpatrick did come in 17th. So again, I mean, there's not much you have to change from last week into this week, except some leverage plays on ownership.
Hey, the core four paid off last week, and that's awesome. But the most consistent part of this show has been the Rogue Warrior, Wild Man. You've hit some good ones. Who do you got this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on me this week because this guy is very low priced, and we're probably going to run him for some big money. But I'll tell you this is crazy. So Callum Hill last week, the Rogue Warrior, right, comes through. Just happened to be born on November 3rd. Same day I'm born. The Rogue Warrior this week is born on November 3rd, if you can believe it.
Wow.
I mean, that's about as random as it gets. And I didn't realize that until about an hour ago. So I had already done the research. But look, Royal Liverpool, Harman won the Corollary Course 2023. This guy comes in 17th. He's 4 for 5 at the Open. He's a 2-time DP World Tour winner. He's won back-to-back years. Just lost in a playoff recently. Was in the event here at Royal Birkdale in 2017. Made the cut. Respectable T37. He's a guy in his early 30s, an Englishman from right down the road, the Rogue Warrior 5400, Laurie Cantor. So this is it. This is where we get our leverage.
Going way down the list to find Cantor at 5,400. So we're running back the core four from last week. We've got Cantor at 5,400 as our Rogue Warrior. Bones DK, are you dropping a prop on us this week or what?
Well, I was really close to that top 10 core four last week, bet 5 to win 1,000. So I said we run it back, but maybe do top 20. It's hard to finish in the top 10. So I'm trying to make us money. But if you're feeling a little
Give
risky,
ourselves
you
a
want to
little
win
bit more
$1,000.
runway there. Give ourselves a
Yeah.
little bit more runway. Top 20. That works for
It's all
us.
about making any kind of money. Any kind of money is a good thing.
And you
So-
know what? We could go back if we wanted to and look at all 15 episodes and probably get Wild Man's prop drop record, but it's got to be close to 500, Wild Man. What do you got this week for us?
I think it's even better. I mean, we're smacking these regional bets, right? We got another one for you. This guy was the runner-up to be the Rogue Warrior this year. I'm going to say right now, and I'm telling you, you're going to hear it very soon in America at a major big event. He's 22 years old. His name's Casey Jarvis. Bombs it down the fairway. We always talk about winning, how it matters. This guy's got 7 worldwide wins. He's already won twice on the DP World Tour this year. One on the Sunshine Tour. 22 years old. 7 worldwide wins on big-time tours. So we're going to take Casey Jarvis, top African. Top African. Get it at the best price you can get. I'm seeing it anywhere from plus 350 to plus 500. So shop it around if you're gonna tail it. But Casey Jarvis, top African. You've probably never even heard of the other 8 or 10 Africans in this tournament.
All right. Yeah, we have been doing well on these regional bets. Wild Man's found something there. So we're going to run back the core four like we did last week. Laurie Cantor, 5,400 is a Rogue Warrior. We've got our top 20 this week. We're going to parlay all 4 of our core four in the top 20. And then we're taking Casey Jarvis as the top African. The first tee time of the Open is at 1:35 a.m. Eastern Time Thursday morning. Some of us will not probably be in bed yet when they tee off. Wildman, will you be setting an alarm or will you be staying up?
I'll tell you what, I set an alarm for like 5:30 a.m. for Harmon's round on Friday because we needed him to make the cut. Thank goodness there was a weather delay, so I got to go back to bed till about 8:15. But I'm still jet lagged from it. I don't know if you can tell the way I look, but I feel jet lagged. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, sitting on the porch, drinking coffee with my iPhone in one hand, my iPad in the other, scrolling. So look, it's going to be an awesome weekend, especially if you get 6 for 6 through because you got the World Cup final coming up Sunday afternoon as well. So
I didn't think you were wearing a shirt when I first signed on to Zoom this morning because of the flesh color that you have going on right there. I thought you might have been a little hungover. Bones DK, are you staying up or are you setting an alarm?
Yeah, I was kind of worried about Wildman. He really looks, not too good right now. I'll tell you what, it's tough for me not to stay up. My vacation weekend, 10 days off, starts Friday. So yeah, I mean, I don't see what else I'm going to be doing. Sleep when you're dead, right? So I'll be up watching it.
Spain was up 2-0 when we started to record this broadcast. Mbappe, with the best name in all professional sports, had just rung the post when we hit record. Is the game over, Wildman? I don't have it on television right now.
Yeah, we will see Mbappe in 2030. 2-0
France goes down.
Final.
France goes down?
2-0 final.
2-0. So we've got Argentina taking on England in the other bracket later on this evening. You got to like England there. Is it Spain for the cup this year, Wildman?
I mean, look, I said this weeks ago, didn't I? 3 Lions, England. We got to pull for our buddies over there. So I think England should beat Argentina unless, Giovanni Bellani makes the call and puts Messi in like he's been doing every single game. So it's a kind of a weird spot for me because I'm rooting for England, but I got Argentina in this pool. So hopefully England gets through though.
FIFA, the most corrupt organization in sports. It's hard to bet on soccer because it's so corrupt, I feel like. But Bones, I know you probably have some money on something here. Who do you like?
I had a great first game. I mean, I had Spain money line plus 125, and then I also had the guy that scored the first goal, $10 at plus 600. So that was a nice little $70 right there. And then I had a nice little bet on Spain to win. So I'm up right now. And my wife's sister lives in Spain. Our boy is from England, so I'm going to bet England, and I'm rooting for England, Spain. And once it gets to the championship, Spain's looking really good, man. I mean, that's why I took him today, not only because of favoritism towards the family, but they're looking really good. So I'd be surprised if England gets past Spain. I'm going to take Spain in the championship.
I'll tell you what, I've watched a lot of England and I watched a lot of France. Not a whole lot of Spain, but France looked almost unbeatable. And if Spain handled them the way that they did, England has looked beatable a couple times in this World Cup. So I'd put my money on Spain right now.
Which is Argentina, right?
Yeah, which it's not a piping hot take. I mean, Spain's got the second best odds to win the whole darn thing. All right, final thoughts, Wildman, on Royal Birkdale before we sign off.
Not much, just ready to roll, ready to keep the momentum going. It feels great. I mean, the phone was blowing up off the hook all day on Sunday. So one of those coming. I mean, I was asking my emails that I send to the league every Monday or Tuesday. Who's next? Who's next, boys? Hopefully it's you.
Bones DK, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, Sunday was just such an incredible day. I went to the Pirates game. I was with my nephew. I was like, "Hey, let's bet on the Pirates money line." He's like, "Got $100 on it already." I was like, "Okay." I'm in also. I'm in, and we ended up having 10 runs in one inning for the Buccos. I mean, that was just electric. So Sunday was like one of the incredible day.
What is the minimum betting age? Remind me. You got to be 18 or you got to be 21?
It's a great question. I don't know.
I think it's 18. I mean,
let's hope it's 18, right? Because I know that the kid you're talking about isn't 21. That's for sure.
I mean, I'm not going to throw our nephew under the bus here, but I think he's legally able to bet.
You can't get into the casino at 21, can you?
No, you got to be 21 to get into the casino. So that's probably our answer right there. All right, boys, we are getting ready for the Open this weekend after a red hot weekend last week. And again, huge shout out to Evan from Upper St. Clair. Huge shout out to Rich. Huge shout out to the Bones Brothers. Huge shout out to Iceman. Huge shout out to our Uncle Brian, who actually has been listening every week also. We appreciate your support, Uncle B. Thanks so much for listening. Royal Birkdale this weekend starts early on Thursday morning for Bones DK. For TW Man, my name is Edge. Thank you so much for listening, and good luck this weekend across the pond.
Go, baby.